A lot of my YouTube tutorial videos can seem a little bit theoretical, so in this video I wanted to give you 10 actual tips for ways that I use my iPhone to be more productive and get more things done in my working day. Stick with me until the end of the video. You never know, I might be able to give you a tip that can save you a ton of time in whatever it is that you do. Okay, let's get into it. Dictation on the iPhone has improved drastically in recent years, so much so that I now try to use it as much as possible whenever I'm using my iPhone. I'm a quick typist, but no matter how quick I might be at typing on my phone, I'll never be a match for simply speaking, and that is, of course, what Dictation allows you to do. To use Dictation on your iPhone, simply look for this icon anytime that you're typing. Tap the button once and begin speaking. Your iPhone will automatically convert your voice into written text, and even does a good job of inserting things like punctuation. It really is that simple. Once you're finished, you can, of course, add more punctuation in yourself if you wish, and edit the text that you just created. One of the most important aspects of being more productive is remembering to do the things that you committed to do when you've committed to do them. My short-term memory is pretty good, but one area where I know I'm particularly weak is if I put something off for half an hour or until later that day, for example, I'm probably going to forget about it. In those instances, I use Siri to remind me to do something. So for example, if I miss a call from my friend Chris and I know I want to call him back in half an hour, I would simply trigger Siri and say, remind me to call Chris back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, and my phone will prompt me to make the call. But this also works contextually across much of your phone. For example, if I receive an email and I want to come back to it in an hour, with the email open like you see here, I could simply say, remind me about this in 1 hour, and my voice assistant will create a reminder linking right to this email. How do you deal with email during the day? Do you ignore your email inbox altogether, only looking at a time that suits you, or do you have your email permanently open and read emails as soon as they land in your inbox? I'm more of the latter, but the problem with that is that aside from it distracting me from work, I then often forget to come back and reply to those important emails later on. So what I tend to do instead is use the flagging function within Mail. As soon as an email lands in my inbox that I know I want to deal with later on, I flag it. I do this by swiping from right to left and then hitting the flag button. This puts a small flag icon next to the email, but it also puts it in its own flagged folder, which is then what I'll use later on to come back to and deal with the email. Now this works because before I walk away from my computer at the end of each working day, I typically head into the Mail app and have a look in my flagged email folder and then respond to whatever needs responding to. But if you have an email that you know you need to respond to later, but at a specific time, you could also use the Remind Me function within Mail. For this, instead of swiping from right to left, swipe from left to right and choose Remind Me, and then choose the date and time that you'd like to be reminded. The email will then appear at the top of your inbox at the chosen date and time, ready for you to action. A real gift and curse aspect of the iPhone is the sheer number of apps that you can download for it. If you're like me and you've had your iPhone for a long time and have a lot of storage, you've probably amassed a sizable collection of apps. You can of course use home screen organization to put apps into folders and manage them that way, but it's still difficult and time consuming to find the app that you want when you want it, and this is why I use Spotlight Search instead. How you access Spotlight Search is going to vary depending on your phone. On most devices, you'll be able to swipe down slightly around the middle of the home screen to access it that way. If you've got an older phone with a home button, you might be able to access it by tapping the home button on the home screen, or if you've got a phone like mine, where you can see this little search box on the home screen, just tap there and you'll be taken right to Spotlight Search. Then, let's say that I want to open up the Apple TV app. I could start typing Apple TV, or I could even just type TV and the phone would return the correct result. I would then simply tap on the app in the search results to open it. Once you get into the muscle memory of doing this, it's extremely quick and much faster than searching for apps each time, and also means you can have a much leaner home screen but still use lots of apps. By the way, if you prefer to have content like this in a written format, there's a PDF to accompany this video, and you can access it by joining my membership program, where for a small monthly fee, you'll get access to all video PDFs moving forward, plus the growing library of old ones. Just follow the link in the description of this video that says become a channel member. The Reminders app is great. I'll mention it a few times in this video and for good reason, but one function that I've never really talked about with Reminders but have started using is the creation of templates. The idea behind a reminders template is that it's for any tasks that you do on repeat that involve a few steps. So the most obvious example for me is creating videos. I create a lot of videos for the channel and they always involve the same steps. So what I can do is in the Reminders app, I've created a list, as you can see here, with the different steps that I take each time I create a tutorial video. I'll then tap into the ellipsis up here in the upper right of the screen and choose Save as Template. I'll then give that template a name and save it. Then next time you're in Reminders and choose Add List, you can see there's an option to choose from a template. Tap on the template, give the list a name, and you're done. This is how I use mine. You could of course use it for anything that you like. Packing for a trip is another example that I think this would be great for. It's a really handy little addition to the Reminders app. Following on in the Reminders app for a moment, I also make use of shared lists. A shared list is a list that you share with someone else where you can both complete actions on the list and it will be updated in real time. The example that I always use for this is the actual example that I use in real life with my wife, and that's a shared list for shopping. Whenever we use something up in the house, we add it to our joint shopping list, which we both have access to. Then, regardless of which one of us is at the supermarket, we've always got the most up-to-date version of the list available to us and can grab everything that we need. Creating a shared list is really easy. You start with a reminders list, like I've got here. Up at the top of the list, you've got this square with an arrow pointing out of it. This is the share button. Tap on that, then choose how you'd like to share the list. I find that here in the UK, where WhatsApp is the most popular messaging service, using messages seems to work better for this. That's just my experience, so I'd personally try and use that wherever you can. I'm going to share this list with a fake contact just for illustration purposes. The process is always exactly the same. And once that contact has approved the share request at their end, you're now both able to view and edit the list. If I add something to the list, the other person sees it. If that person completes the task is removed from both of our lists. By the way, if you're enjoying the content here, why not consider signing up to my newsletter, The Proper Weekly? I include some tech news from the week, a behind the scenes of what's happening here on the channel, as well as a tip for an item in the Apple ecosystem. The newsletter goes out each Friday, it's free to join, and I'll include a sign-up link in the description of this video. I've made loads of content about the Notes app here on the channel, and something that I always mention in those videos is the way in which I use shared notes. A shared note is exactly what it sounds like. It's a note that you can access and collaborate on with other people. This can either be for you to share information with someone else in a read-only format, or vice versa, or for you to all work together on something in real time. A real-world example of this is the way in which my wife and I make use of shared notes to keep track of our working hours during the week. We both work for ourselves and we both work from home, and if there are errands that need to be run, even things like taking our dog for a walk, we both need to have visibility of each other's schedules, and a shared note lets us do this. A shared note starts with a normal note, like the one that I've got on screen now. To share it with someone, simply tap the share icon in the top of the screen and choose how you'd like to share it. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I find that sharing via iMessage always seems to work best here. Sharing via WhatsApp or another third-party messaging service can be a bit hit and miss. Make sure that when you do this, you change this option here from Send Copy to Collaborate to ensure that the person you're inviting can actually work on the note with you rather than simply receiving a copy of it. That's it. Once the other person receives the note invitation and accepts it, they'll be able to work on the note alongside you with changes showing in real time for both of you. Again, this is another topic that I've covered in much more detail elsewhere on the channel. In fact, I'll link to all of the mentioned videos in the description of this one, but the Shortcuts app on your iPhone can be an absolute gem when it comes to saving you time. So a shortcut is basically like a macro in Excel, if that means anything to you. If it doesn't, don't worry. Basically, it's a list of commands that your iPhone carries out in order at the push of a button. So in my shortcuts tutorial video, for example, I show you how to create a shortcut where you press a single button or speak a command and your phone will take a screenshot of whatever you've got on your screen, insert it into an email, and then automatically email that screenshot off to a specific contact. Multiple processes, all carried out at the push of a single button. The great thing about shortcuts is that you can either choose them from the shortcuts gallery, or you can build your own if you know what you're doing, or you can download them from the web, although I should point out that you should always be careful downloading shortcuts. Make sure that you really trust the source of them. So one that I use all the time now is the brilliant Frames 3.0. I'll include a link to it in the description of this video. This fantastic shortcut allows you to take a screenshot on any of your Apple devices, your iPhone, Mac, iPad, even your watch, and then at the touch of a button, wrap that screenshot perfectly within the frame of the relevant device. I need screenshots like this for the PDFs that I make for my videos, which you can access by becoming a channel member, by the way, and used to have to make them manually in Canva or Photoshop, so this is a huge time saver for me. The iPhone has a function called focus mode, which allows you to pretty much completely change the way that your phone looks and behaves based on the focus mode that you choose. At its most basic level, and the way that I use this, you could use this to have a work mode and a non-work mode, but you can have multiple modes, and so you can use this however you like. The idea is that when my phone is in work mode, I can make drastic changes to the device. I can choose how the home screen looks, which apps are visible, change the wallpaper, and decide what kind of alerts I want to come through. To create a focus mode, head into Settings and then Focus. If you're doing this for the first time, you can see that there are some presets that you can set up, or you can tap the plus in the upper right for more presets, including a custom focus mode option. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to choose to set up work mode, but note that the method is the same regardless of what you choose to do. On this next screen, you can choose to either block notifications from certain individuals or choose to only allow notifications from certain individuals, whatever is quicker and easier for you. The same for apps. You can choose to block notifications from specific apps or only allow notifications from specific apps. Below that, you can choose to create a dedicated home screen for this focus mode, set a schedule for this to switch on and off below that, and add focus filters down at the bottom, which is getting into a level of detail that's beyond this video, but do check out my dedicated tutorial video about focus modes if you're interested. Once this is all done and you want to enable the focus mode that you just created, swipe down to access Control Center and enable it from there by tapping this focus button and choosing the focus mode. iCloud Keychain is one of those Apple functions that I absolutely couldn't live without these days. I can't really stress enough how important it is to use strong, unique password and email combinations for everything that you log into online. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you use the same combination for everything and get hacked once, you'll get hacked everywhere. iCloud Keychain is a state-of-the-art password manager that's baked right into all your Apple devices. It's really easy to use. Let me show you how to use it. Open Settings, then tap on your Apple ID up at the top of the screen, then scroll down and tap into Passwords and Keychain and ensure that your device has this enabled. Then go back to Settings and choose either Face ID and Passcode or Touch ID and Passcode, depending on what your device offers, and ensure that Password Autofill is enabled. Now, each time that you visit a site where you have to input login details, your phone will securely remember your user ID and password. And this, of course, means that you can quickly input them next time you visit the site, all while being protected by your phone's biometrics. This saves me countless hours of time, plus there's no way I could remember all those usernames and passwords. So there you go, 10 ways that I use my iPhone to save me time and make me more productive. What about you? Any tips that you'd have included here? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.